We are at the confluence of Martin Luther King Day, the inauguration of our president, and the very sad third anniversary of the shameful Citizens United Supreme Court decision that allowed unlimited corporate money, and subsequently the ruling allowed unlimited individual spending in our elections. People are sick and tired of money speaking louder in our democracy than people. Before I talk too much longer, I want to make sure to thank all of our local sponsors: Common Cause Illinois, Illinois Move to Amend, Illinois PIRG, Communication Workers of America, the 10th Dems, Progressive Democrats of Illinois, Democracy in Action Chicago, Rainbow Push Coalition, US Uncut, Occupy Naperville, Americans for Democratic Action Coffee Party, and DuPage County Greens. Thank you. And move on. Thank you. That was bad. Democracy is under attack in our country on two different fronts. Our system is flooded with money, and voting rights are under attack. Public Citizen has long been in the fight for fair and clean elections. We started a campaign for a constitutional amendment with allies in January 2010 when the decision came down from the Supreme Court. We're working to overturn not just Citizens United, but Buckley versus Vallejo, which says that money is speech rather than simply property. We're also calling to question the role of corporate power in our democracy. The people have amended the Constitution no less than 17 times after the Bill of Rights. We are no smaller democracy today than we were then. We can do this.
Illinois PIRG is a statewide, nonpartisan nonprofit public interest organization, and we support campaign finance reform to help level the playing field for voters and for candidates by reducing the role of big money in our elections. Something that's always been at the core of our work is just making sure that our democracy is operating fairly to govern all citizens, not just powerful special interests and those who are wealthy enough to amplify their voice. We need to move back to a government that's responsive to the public, with fair, clean elections, and that means a constitutional amendment to overturn the Citizens United ruling.
Polls show that 80% of Americans opposed the Citizens United decision, and a full 72% of Americans believe we should be reinstating and support efforts to reinstate limits on these corporate and union donations.
In this day and age, our vote is under attack, and our democracy is under attack, and our jobs are disappearing, and our very human rights are in danger. We cannot be content to reflect upon this history. We must make history. And I know you will by telling Congress that we want our rights back and that only people are people.
Move to Amend's sole purpose is to restore constitutional rights to natural persons like you and me, and restore the integrity of our elections by getting corporate and other special interest money out of our elections. And ending corporate and other special interest rule. In a democracy, the people rule.
As we peer into our society's future, we, you, I, and our government must avoid the impulse to live only for today, plundering for our own ease and convenience the precious resources of tomorrow. We cannot mortgage the material assets of our grandchildren without risking the loss also of their political and spiritual heritage.
Our ability as progressives to win on issues is severely compromised by the influence of the wealthy and corporations. So we have to take on this fight if we want to restore our democracy, if we want to live in a country where every person matters and every vote counts.
Is it time to restore political sovereignty in our country to the people? Is it time?
Yes. This is a long-term goal that we're shooting for. And we all have seen the result of what that decision has done in our political environment. So we've passed out some flyers. We're asking you to call Senator Durbin's office, Senator Kirk's office, and ask them to support Senate Resolutions 4 and 6, both of which would end the silent filibuster. And those will be introduced next week. And again, that's a short-term fix for a long-term problem. This is going to take a little bit longer to do. But we need to get some of these obstructionist means out of the way in the meantime so we can get our agenda moving and stop these ridiculous laws from being passed at the expense of the good ones that we're trying to get done.
Gentlemen, that this is how we were warned it would be. President Reagan told us from the very beginning that he believed in a kind of social Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Government can't do everything, we were told, so we should settle for taking care of the strong and hope that economic ambition and charity will do the rest. Make the rich richer, and what falls from the table will be enough for the middle class and for those who are trying desperately to work their way into the middle class. You know, the other party called it trickle-down when Hoover tried it. Now they call it supply side. But it's the same shining city for those relative few who are lucky enough to live in its good neighborhoods. But for those who are locked out, for those people who are excluded, all they can do is stare from a distance at that city's glimmering towers.
This is the golden megaphone of money. Now, you may have realized when your parents may have taught you about the golden rule when you were a child, you know, take care of your neighbor like you take care of yourself. Well, what it's become is the man with the gold makes the rules, okay? The corporations put money in this end, and out that end comes government policy. Our first CEO is James McNerney Jr., CEO of the Boeing Company. Total lobbying expenditure in 2012 was $12 million. While CEO of Boeing in 2007, he earned a total compensation of almost $13 million. According to the Center for Tax Justice, from 2002 to 2011, Boeing has paid nothing in net federal income tax despite $32 billion in U.S. profits. Since 1994, James has laid off more than 57,000 Americans at Boeing as a result of overseas outsourcing and rising imports. The amount of corporate welfare Boeing received, over $58 million in taxpayer, $58 billion. It gets confusing with all those zeros. $58 billion in taxpayer subsidized loans and loan guarantees from the government since 1994. Lloyd Blankfein, chairman of Goldman Sachs. Lobbying expenditures 2012 was $2,680,000. Lloyd actually told a congressional hearing he was just a banker doing God's work. Okay. During the financial crisis, Goldman Sachs received a total of $814 billion in virtually zero interest loans from the Federal Reserve and a $10 billion bailout from the Treasury Department. This is scary. Goldman Sachs operates 39 subsidiaries and offshore tax havens. In 2010, Goldman Sachs would have owed the U.S. taxpayers $2.7 billion in federal income taxes if tax avoidance was eliminated. Okay, this is our gesture for our corporate court. Okay, Rahm Emanuel has worked with William Daley in the Clinton White House to pass the North American Free Trade Act, or NAFTA, costing the U.S. over 879,000 good-paying middle-class manufacturing jobs. Since becoming mayor, he has worked to privatize city services to the benefit of wealthy donors and fought the teachers union to turn Chicago's public schools into non-union, low-paying charter schools.
Thank you so much for coming out. We're going to do a bunch of chants and then a short march to Michigan Avenue. So.
Corporations are evil. Money is not speech. Money is not speech.
Corporations are evil. Money is not speech.
The people united
will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. Money out. Voters in. 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 Thank you. From California to the New York Islands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Thank you. Yay!